Hello, Steel Creek Church, Barrowwick Campus, Eastfield Campus, Arrowwood Campus. I'm gonna do my Friday challenge video on Thursday. Introduce you to my son, Isaiah. Don't you be running nowhere. There's Darren right there. What's up? The masked man. I hear you. It's my son, Jeremiah. My son, Malachi. And his lovely girlfriend, hopefully soon to be his fiance.
Oh my God.
Taylor. He's got a good one. So let me walk outside and shoot this video because it's beautiful outside. It's been raining for like 2 years, so it's good to finally see the sun out. I used to speak in Seattle quite a bit, and that's what this place has been resembling here lately. Seattle, nothing but rainy. So listen, the video today is a difficult challenge. In fact, I got to say up front, I'm not speaking for Steel Creek Church today. This is my the video that I'm going to put on my Facebook page. I'm not going to put it on the Steel Creek Church website. So don't be calling Steel Creek Church and complaining. If you don't like something I say, you can call me personally. I will have a loving conversation with you because I do love you. And we got to be able to talk about things even when we don't agree. So my number is 980-833-0411. When I went to T-Mobile, I actually tried to get 867-5309. They wouldn't give it to me. So 980-833-0411, or you can email me at christianchapman777@icloud.com. First, let me say that we need to have this conversation because to dismiss a conversation means that you really don't validate the conversation. And if you don't validate the conversation, then it's almost as if you're saying you don't care. And if you're saying that you don't care about something, then people aren't going to open up their hearts and have a constructive conversation with you because they think that you don't care anyway. So let's talk about it, especially the church. The church is supposed to be involved. That's exactly why Jesus told the story of the Good Samaritan, because it's interesting to me that when he told that story, that he made the church the culprit in the story, and he made the Samaritan, who the church actually hated during that time, as the hero. The Samaritan was the one that had mixed blood, half Jew, half Gentile. The Jewish people who represented the church of the day, they hated the Samaritan people. The story of the Good Samaritan is a man that got robbed, left on the side of the road, and Jesus made it clear that the priest left him on the side of the road, didn't even pay him attention, and the priest's servant did the same thing, which is another story, another sermon for another day. Be careful who you follow because they will lead you in the wrong direction. But Jesus said the Good Samaritan, who everybody hated, was the one that loved on this man. So the church should actually get involved. So we can't be dismissing conversations that need to be had. Right now, Minneapolis is on fire. An innocent man by the name of George Floyd, and I say innocent, I don't know what the man did, but whatever he did not deserve what he experienced. And it was racism. There's no other way to say it. I'm so stinking angry right now. I got to admit to you, and this is why this video doesn't belong to Steel Creek. It's going to belong on my Facebook page because I didn't feel very pastoral. When I watched that video and saw this man begging for his life and heard the people begging the police officers to get off his throat. They probably crushed his larynx, which is why he was bleeding out his nose and mouth, choked him to death. I was so angry. The first thought I had was, oh man, I would love to be in a room with no windows and no accountability with that police officer. But that's obviously not a godly thought to have, and so I had to give that to Jesus. I've been praying a lot today, and I just want to have the conversation because, once again, we can't dismiss it. We can't sweep it under the rug. So the first thing I want to say is it's crazy for me when I think about where we are as a nation. The United States, we are anything but united. And we keep thinking that the media can solve our problems. We keep thinking the government can solve our problems. It's crazy to me, once again, to think that we're going to ever get better in this country when we continue to walk further and further away from God. It's no longer in God we trust. We don't let Jesus back into the schools. We don't pray in schools. We are doing everything we can to keep religion and Christianity out of the picture, and then we wonder why things are going the way they are. So our heart is damaged right now. because we don't have Christ at the center of the core of who we are. We're much like a sponge. Whatever's in a sponge, when it gets squeezed, that's what comes out. We're getting squeezed right now, and what's coming out is not Jesus, because we are kicking Jesus out of the equation. And people get upset with me all the time when they say, man, all you do is say, go to Jesus, go to Jesus. Jesus fixes this. When you counsel my marriage, you say, go to Jesus. If I got anger issues, you say, go to Jesus. If I got addiction issues, you say, go to Jesus. When you preach, you say, go to Jesus. Yes, he's the only one that can fix the problem. In fact, the definition of racism is when you discriminate or antagonize against another race because you feel like your race is better. That's not an outward issue, that's an inward issue. Racism doesn't just belong to one color or one culture or one group of people. It belongs to all people because it's a sin issue. I'll give you an example of that if you don't mind, a couple of examples that it can belong to anybody. Racism is a matter of the heart, and it belongs to the whole world, and it is sin, and it is ugly. Not too long ago, I went shopping in the Clemson University area because we are big Tiger fans, and my kids wanted a shirt. I took my son Malachi, who was a 6'4". You saw my children at the first of the video. He's a biracial kid, but he looks way darker than he does white, and he's a big kid. Full beard, mustache. And when I went into the store, they treated me with a lot of respect. The two white attendants didn't look at me funny. They just kept talking as I walked around the store. The moment my son walked in, they left the counter and started following my son around. I was so angry. I didn't give them a dime. I took my son, we left, and we went and spent $300 in another store. It was so frustrating. That is racism. That is a heart issue. That's what that is. And then the flip side of that coin, my father-in-law, who is an African-American man that married my mother-in-law years ago when my biological father-in-law died through marriage. When he actually passed away, my mother-in-law got remarried again. She married an African-American man. I love this guy. He's a friend of mine. And when he found out that I had 3 biracial children, he sat down and talked to me and said, hey, man, you might experience a little bit of racism. And I said, well, actually, I already have, man. I don't talk to like half my family from York, South Carolina, because they made it clear they weren't going to have anything to do with me when I adopted 3 biracial kids. He said, no, I'm talking about the African-American community. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, African-American women don't like it when white women date African-American men or marry African-American men or have kids with African-American men. They feel like they are stealing and robbing from their culture. Now listen, I didn't understand that. To be honest with you, I didn't even believe it till I experienced it when I went into a McDonald's where there were all African-American women working at the McDonald's that I went into. And when I walked in with my 3 kids, my wife stayed in the car for a few minutes to grab some things. And when I walked in, man, they were looking at me and I was looking at them, and we were having a ball. We were talking. My personality was coming out. I walked up to the window. I said, what's up, girlfriend? How you doing? And she said, what's up, brother? How you doing? I said, I'm doing good. And we were laughing and having fun. And they asked me what I wanted, and I went straight into my Snoop Dogg voice. I looked up at the counter and I said, I want the 1, the 2, the 3, and 2, the 4. And they said, oh my goodness, there's this white guy out here rapping like Snoop Dogg. And people started coming from the back. We were having so much fun until my wife walked in. And then they realized that I had a white wife and I had 3 biracial children. And I guess they just assumed that my wife had been with an African-American man, and they immediately got angry. They started treating me disrespectfully. They started treating my children disrespectfully. They started snapping at my wife, and I got angry. I got so angry, we left. We got out of there. My wife was happy to get out of there because I had reached my boiling point. I mean, it was frustrating. Racism, it makes you feel so ugly and filthy inside. But once again, it's an inward issue. It's an absence of Jesus issue. It's a lack of the Holy Spirit inside of you. That's the only way we're going to get back in this nation to where we need to be, which is united again. We are so divisive and we're so divided. We have different political parties where we separate. I mean, we separate and live in different communities. We separate on Sunday. The biggest day of separation in this country is on Sunday. It's crazy. But I wanted you to know what the definition of racism is, because I wanted you to know it's an inside issue, not an outside issue. And so the second thing that I want to say is that as a white man, I don't understand. I really don't comprehend. And I I really can't relate to your suffering and what you're going through. I want to say this to all the brothers and sisters that I love, because sometimes I feel so hypocritical when I come up and say, look, I'm going to pray for you, will understand your pain and your suffering, because I don't. I think my battery just clicked off. I'll connect the two clips and hopefully there'll be a clean seal in that, and it won't be, you won't miss anything. But what I was saying is that I don't really relate or understand to what you're going through, but I want you to know that I do love you and I do want to understand. You can use my number anytime. You can call me, you can email me at any time. I think it's wise for us as white folk to say we don't understand and we don't comprehend and we don't relate, but we're willing to shoulder the responsibility of carrying your burden and your suffering, because Galatians 6:2 says that we are called as Christians to carry the burdens of others, to fulfill the law of Christ, which is to love all people. And I think it's time for us to be able to say that. So please call. Teach me. If you want me to march, I'll march. If you want me to hold a sign, I'll hold a sign. If you want me to get angry, I'm already there. If you want me to preach on it, I'll preach on it. If you want me to do a podcast on it, I'll do a podcast on it. I'll write music. If you want me to write a song, I'll write a song. I'll do whatever I need to do, because I'm sick of this stuff. And I feel absolutely helpless on your behalf, because I don't know what to do. I can't relate. I don't understand. I got a good friend that's an African-American pastor, and he told me the other day that he was scared to send his son to the store in a mask because he was scared he was going to get shot. I can't relate to that, because that's not my world. I got a friend that's African-American that said when he gets pulled over by the police, he keeps his hands on the wheel and he tells his kids to put their hands on the seat. That's not my world. I don't relate to that. I don't understand that. I don't comprehend that, and it's not even fair. It's almost hypocritical for me to say I do understand. But I am willing to learn. I am willing to suffer. I am willing to carry the burden with you. I'm willing to try to understand your world more so I can try to comfort you and love you and shed tears with you and fight battles with you. So just know that I love you. Know that I care for you. Know that I'm sick to death of it as well, but know that I also know and believe that Jesus is the answer. We can't fix anything by looting, in my opinion, humbly, by looting and by tearing buildings down and by setting fires to things. My belief is that only Jesus can fix the problem, because it's a hard issue. But I'm willing to help carry the burden with you because I love you. I'm willing to fulfill Scripture and do whatever I need to do to try to connect with you and to try to be a true brother and a true follower of Christ. So I pray for you and I love you very much. I hope to hear from you. And once again, I hope this video was not offensive. It's just me sharing a couple of points of my heart. And I hope it does encourage, but I hope it also challenges. Peace.